So I have been wanting to do a topic. I've been wanting to do a show. Oh, sorry. One thing I should have mentioned. I do a post-production edit. So if you get tongue-tied or something, just start over. I'll edit it. If you cough, sneeze, whatever, I'll edit it. So don't worry about muting yourself. And if you got to take a long pause, don't worry about it. We'll fix it. So, okay. All right. Like this, I'm going to edit that out. So,
that's good.
So I have been wanting to do a show on improv for a very long time. Back in New Orleans, I had a good buddy who had an improv school. My buddy Chris, he ran a school called the New Movement Theater. I never took a class, but I hung out there all the time, and it's something I've just been wanting to do for the longest time. And I met Yaddy Arroyo. Did I say that right? Arroyo. A few weeks back, and we had a really awesome chat. I found out she did improv, and I was like, we got to talk about improv. Yaddy, I think you're like the perfect person to talk to about this. Let's see.
Yay! I'm on a UX podcast, not talking about UX design.
Well, we are talking about UX design.
Are
because
we?
It's how it's the crossover, the synergies between UX design and improv. Yaddy Arroyo, a veteran UX designer, skillfully merges chatbot technology with human service design, enhancing multimodal banking experiences. With a rich background spanning a decade in SaaS, AI, telematics, and voice design, Yaddy is dedicated to making digital banking accessible and secure. Her notable work features user-friendly interfaces that emphasize inclusivity and safety, showcasing her dedication to both technological innovation and user needs. But beyond her UX expertise, this is why we're talking to her today, Yaddy has honed her design skills through the art of improv. After graduating from the renowned Second City in Chicago, she was an active member of an improv troupe, Quiet Wyatt. I like that, like Wyatt Earp. This unique journey through the world of improv has significantly contributed to her becoming a more adaptable and creative designer, bringing a fresh perspective to her UX work. Yaddy, I am so excited to have you on. Welcome to Beyond UX Design. How's it going?
Hey, thank you for having me, dude. I love it.
Oh, of course.
Thank you for rolling with the punches. I feel like I'm too long-winded, so I'm trying to shut it up.
No, it's all good. This is actually a somewhat unconventional episode today. This whole episode is about improv, and I've been like super busy this week, had a lot of stuff going on. I normally, for everybody listening, I normally try to put together an outline and we kind of go over it and everything. This week has been crazy, a total mess, and I didn't do that. And so at the last minute, I was like, it actually makes, I was thinking about like moving it, to another day, and I was like, hold on. We're talking about improv. What the hell am I doing planning?
Well, there you go.
We're going to go just yes and today, just all yes and. So we've got an outline that I kind of threw together in the last 5 minutes after I got off another call. So we're just going to kind of dig into it. So before we do that, Yaddy, though, I want to hear all about you. I want to hear about your improv experience. And then I've got some stuff I want to talk about with you. And at the end, I was thinking, I want to tell you now so you can start thinking about maybe we could do a little improv. Since I've never done improv class before, maybe you could do a little improv workshop with me.
Are you serious?
Never, no.
Oh, you're a natural, dude. You just roll with it.
I just, I never did it. I don't know. I know no reason why. I'm just busy probably. But all right, at the end, we're gonna do it today. You're gonna walk me through an improv.
But I would argue that we're already improvising.
All right,
from the very beginning. No, actually, you know what? So improv helped me with design. I think design helps you with improv, right? Because I was really crappy. Like when I started in this field. I was like what I hate now, right? Like arrogant and wouldn't listen and did not figure out a solution, would always find like an issue with something, right? So with improv, I don't know why I took it. It was one of those things where I was bored and I'm like, well, I have nothing better to do. I'm single. I was mid-30s at the time, or early 30s. I forget. I'm 40-ish now, right?
40-ish.
But it was a while. It was a while ago. And I just wanted to do something fun. And through taking classes, it literally just changed how I thought, right? Like physically changed how I thought about things. Whereas before I was like very cynical and wouldn't see the positives of stuff, or I wouldn't see an out. Like with improv, you have to, like that is what you do. Like it's the theory of yes and, right? Like basically it's a philosophy of you do whatever you can with what's given in front of you. If someone serves up a hot steaming pile of crap, you now will be a dog cleaner upper and you clean up the poop. You will work with that. You know, you will figure out how to incorporate that into your story, right? And it's so funny how like there's so many analogies between like improv and the philosophy of yes and then actual like design. And I'm talking product design, UX design, service design, multimodal design. Any type of creation, there's a direct link to it. So I kind of saw myself actually getting promoted a lot faster the longer I was in improv. So that was kind of cool.
Wow, okay.
You know?
Yeah, I love that. Well, that is exactly what I want to talk about today. So I'm really interested. So the first thing I want to talk about a little bit is just level setting for a lot of people out there. They may not know what improv is. I think a lot of people think about improv, they think stand-up comedy or something like that. Not the same thing at all. So like talk a little bit about improv. What is improv? Does it always have to be comedy? And then we're going to dig a little bit into some of that philosophy of yes and, because I think that's really just like the brilliant piece for this. So what is improv from your perspective?
I don't know, man. Improv is just rolling with it. Maybe some people call it Tai Chi. They call it, what is it? The Tao or whatever. I don't know. My point is it's really the idea of like dealing with whatever is in the present. I would say improv is the present. Like you have to deal with whatever is in front of you. You can't deny it. You can't like put it away. You can't like forget about it. It's right there in front of you. And in improv, if we want to get all serious about it, doesn't have to be comedy, right? It doesn't even have to be smart, dude. But you will talk to different. Yeah, I mean, some people will be like, whatever.
I've been to some improv shows that were definitely not smart.
I was the one making them dumb, you know what I'm saying? Like as the dumb one. No, but that's the thing. Like the one feedback I would always get is like, don't dumb down your character. And I realized like, yeah, all my characters would be dum-dums, but I love it. Like there's something about playing a naive character that I kind of got stuck in. And I don't see them, honestly, I don't see them as dum-dum. I see them as naive. So what people like, especially if you're a first time improviser, right? You get shocked by everything. You're not able to work with anything. You like have to have it a certain way. So you only like, for example, when I started, there's only a couple people I could really improvise with because we were of the same style. Because I wasn't really willing to compromise, but maybe they were. So then like we were able to play well together, right? But, you know, as I got better at improv, I realized I have to be able to play well with anybody. So if they serve me something that I hate, I have to pretend to like it on stage. Because as a professional, that's really what matters, right? Like to some point, you're not doing this improv stuff for fun, but you're doing it for an objective. So for me, it was to like build a stage presence and to like really like, the best way I could put it, be a professional creative, right? Like I realized like if I wanted to elevate in my career, I had to deliver. The same thing with improv, right? And if you're in front of an audience and if your objective is for them to laugh and they're not laughing, you're not doing your job. If the objective is to like teach them something or like drop some knowledge on them, which by the way, Second City, that's what they teach you. The style of improv, they start off with short gamey stuff to get you in, sucker you in, make it fun. But then long form improv and realistically, their script writing is really about, you know, satire, right? It's about the smart comedy. So they really are very highbrow, look down on like poopy humor type stuff, right?
Right. Yeah.
Then you have IO, which is the old Improv Olympic. They can't name themselves that because of copyright reasons, but IO is what they're known for.
Oh, so they just they use the acronym. That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, and they're known for like long improv too. They have really good improvisers. I think TJ and Dave is what they're known for. Like if you ever research TJ and Dave, they're pretty huge in the improv scene. And they do long form. It's funny, but not like haha funny. And it's not like Second City funny. It's more like real life funny, right? It's like a conversation you'd have with your brother, your dad, or whatever, right? Yeah. And then you have annoyance, which is like a free-for-all, which is, by the way, my favorite school because they don't give a shit if you have potty humor, if you don't have potty humor. They do nudity. They don't care, right? They're like the punk rockers of improv. So I fell right into that because when I first started improv, I would literally be anything. Like one time I was an aborted baby trying to fight for my rights, you know? like ridiculousness I bring to the table. Clearly, I didn't make friends, but I did make friends, right? In the long term, like I learned like how to read people, how to read the stage, how to read the audience. You learn all these meta concepts that they don't teach you in school. Like you only learn by doing, right? Yeah. So I would do like the parallel with design in that all the people dude, you're going to hear me gripe. I'm going to go on an improvised rant. But the PhDs, right? There's two types. There's the doers and just the thinkers, right? Or maybe there's more, but the ones I've worked with at an enterprise level, you have some PhDs that are amazing. Like they're PhDs for a reason, like mathematically, like they just know all these equations, they know machine learning, they're whatever, right? And then you have all these PhDs that just write white papers. That's all they do. They don't know how to like do a Figma file. They don't know how to organize. They don't know naming conventions. Oh, but they're really good at critiquing you at design review. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Or telling you how the UX process is when they've only worked like 5 years in the field to your 20. So it's like, like, why should I listen to you, sir? You know?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
ma'ams. My point being, let's talk about people, doers and thinkers, right? You can be both in improv, right? And they both work well together. Like some of the best improvisers I know started off as thinkers and then became great actors, right? Like they were great writers. And then they ended up being great actors because they honed in on their writing skill. Other people started off with like being just funny and weird. Like I would say I fall into that camp where I'll just do crazy stuff on stage. Not really a writer, right? Ironically enough, I work in AI where I write a lot. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So now I've kind of learned, oh shoot, like I have to be more like them. So eventually you want to have both skill sets where you do and you think. You don't want to just do to do and you don't want to just think to think. Right. But if we kind of like put designers into those two buckets, right? You have like the theoretical managers and then the hands-on managers, right? Yeah. Who are my favorite? I will give you a hint. It's not the theoretical ones.
The hands-on, yeah, of course.
It's not the ones that kind of went to school for it but never actually practiced it, right? The same thing with improv. You got to actually do it. You can't just say you are one without actually doing it. You can't say you're an improviser without actually going on stage. You can't say you're a designer and then just tell people what to do without getting your hands dirty, you know? And even my boss, I will tell you this, Jeremy, all of my bosses at my current job, doers, you know, if they wanted to. I don't want them to do. Why? Because they're actually needed in other areas, but I know they could do it. Right? Like that's the respect part where I'm like, yeah, she's better than me. Like she could easily do what I'm doing, but
give me a chance. Give me a chance.
God damn it, Alex. Sorry, she's amazing. No, but my point is like, you kind of realize that you have to kind of adapt to your gaps and to the world around you, right? Yeah. So that's what improv taught me. It taught me like to look at the scene and what's missing in the scene and be that. Sometimes I'm the parsley where I just kind of sprinkle in, do something, come in, justify an action. Sometimes I am the main course where whatever I'm doing is the focal point, right? Interesting fact, since you're a big Bear fan. So I went to improv school. Yeah, I've been to improv school with Rich Estedas, which is one of the actors in The Bear. Yeah. So that's my claim to fame.
Oh, you're talking about the show The Bear. I thought you were like making improv like I'm just going, yes, and I love bears. Like I thought you were talking about bears. You're talking about The Bear. The show, The Bear.
The Bear.
Okay. Yeah, Anna and I had that awesome show. But yeah, okay. Sorry, I was like, I was just going along with it for a second. I was like,
dude, okay, you're improvising.
I was improvising.
I get it. No, The Bear, the show. I went to school with one of the guys. So now he's in that show now. It's Rich Estedas. He's the, grouchy old.
Hell yeah. Did you by any chance tell him about our episode and have him listen?
Yes, I did. I tagged him.
Right on. Did he listen though? You tagged him, but did he listen?
No, we're buddies. Probably like his birthday was just recently. So no, he's a very cool dude. Like that's the thing. Like some of the people I've met in improv, like I'm trying to think, he's probably like, I like him the best though. Like there's people I've met in improv that I'm like, holy crap, they're pretty big. But Rich is just the coolest dude. Like we've done so many little projects together. Like oh my God, any little shit I was in, like, let's do a student film. Rich, let's do it, Yeah. So because of his yes and attitude, he's been able to get so many awesome opportunities because he doesn't let ego get in the way. He's like, sure, Yaddy, I'll go be the voice of your cat. Episode 3.
You know what this reminds me so much of? Like I had a conversation with Tom Griever a couple weeks back, author of Articulating Design Decisions. And one of the things we talked about was this idea of like rigid designers that refuse to do anything that they don't want to do. And we were talking, and this was actually off the thing. Oh shit! I probably shouldn't have said that. He told me to delete it from the episode.
You know what? Let's listen.
Cut it out. Anyway, so we were talking about this idea though with this rigidity, and there are times when it comes to cut a team, when there's layoffs or something. And generally speaking, the first people to go are going to be the ones that are, not helpful. They you can't put them in different situations. You can't have them take them off of that project, put them on something else because they're going to complain or they're not going to want to do it. And so there's that level of rigidity that, is not bad to have, obviously. Like, you don't want to roll over in every single thing, but at a certain point, you can't be so inflexible that you are hard to work with. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about improv is, like, there's certainly, yes, and you're not supposed to say no, but like there's certain things that you'll go with, and I'm sure at some point there's like a line you won't cross. You're like, I'm not going there. No? I don't know. Well, maybe
I'm just kidding. No, I know my.
You know
lines.
What I mean? But
yeah.
Anyway, that just reminds me so much of that concept, especially at work. And it's like, who are the people that get promoted? They're the people that are, that want to help the team, that are not going to put themselves first, that are going to put the team before themselves, and encourage that amongst the rest of the team. And I don't know, I just think that reminds me so much of that conversation I had, and it makes so much sense thinking like about how improv inspires that in you or in people.
I love that Tom Griever. Like, he's such a cool dude. I don't know him, but his knowledge resonates, right? Like, for example, what you just said about the rigidity. Okay, I hate bringing up the layoffs, but kind of true. And I say kind of true because what they also do is it's a political maneuver to get rid of people who maybe do help out, but they want to squash. So I've seen it from both ends. I've seen really high rising stars, but this is the cool part. All the rising stars, they're going to be okay because they pivot. Yeah, they're just like, okay, cool. Like, one of them, like, for example, I was thinking of a buddy where he got laid off, started his own business. Like, he's just like, did his own found. And I'm like, and I'm looking at his product because he's now working on an AI product by himself. And I felt his loss, and a lot of people felt his loss. Does he have some rigidity? Probably. But let's be honest, right? There's a Venn diagram of doing what you're told and being rigid. Right. He was definitely not this guy. He fell into the nice little, like, intersection where, like, if it doesn't make sense for the user, why am I going to advocate for it? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Now, sometimes people want to be squished or want to, like, squish other people because they get in the way of their agendas. Right. So there's that dichotomy of, like, getting rid of people who are too powerful that are going to make my life hard. You get rid of the really good ones to some extent. And then you also, not to be a dick, not to be, especially not, like, I would say not at the company I'm at, because everybody seems to be going through layoffs. But there's certain companies, I'm going to say the biggest ones, like Facebook, Google, right? Having known some of the people they laid off and having worked with them, I'm like, why would they even hire them? You know what I'm saying? Not to be a dick, but like, when I think of rigid person, I think of one specific person that made me quit one of my favorite jobs because she was on my team. And I was like, everybody hated her. And it took me a whole, like, 6 months to hate her. I was like, no guys.
Yeah, I can't imagine you hating many people, I'll be honest. I know I don't know you all that well. But...
I don't really hate her. What I did find her was annoying.
Hated working with her.
I didn't even... Yes, I did at the time. In hindsight, it made me a better reader of people. Because this was during my improv days, right? So I was learning early improv. So I was still learning how to read people. I was still training whatever. So now I know the signs of rigid people, right? Rigid people. This is the key, dude. If someone isn't even willing to compromise on their opinion, 1%, not even 1%, right? They have, like, let's say they're like 99% conventional. They're convinced about something, right? Yeah. And they're like 90% sure, right? If I can't even move the needle 1%, there's no point talking to them because they're not open-minded at all. But if they're at least willing to move 1%, 5%, 10%, have their opinion be changed, molded, adjusted, whatever, then I'm like, you're someone I could work with. So I could say I can work with like 99% of people, even the difficult ones, because I'll find a way around them or through them, right? The 1% I cannot work with are powerful people that don't know what they're doing, right? Yeah. Those are the people I'm like, I don't have the clout, I don't have the respect, I don't have the blah, blah, blah. And thank God, like, in my current situation, I actually love every level of leadership above me. That's not always the case, Jeremy. There's some places where I work with, like, I worked with really, like, rigid leaders. So imagine, like, rigid coworkers. Like,
rigid leaders. That's even worse. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you have to do what they do. They don't listen to users. They don't listen to facts. They're they're like no butters, right? Like you have yes anders and then you have no butters. Like
no butters.
No, but you're going to have to do it anyway. No, but go screw yourself.
Yeah.
But you can go lay off yourself, So that's such an interesting point about rigidity because I feel like you're a multimodal designer. You could do service design, product design, all different types of modes and different screens, especially because of, the type of positions that you've had. But if you notice, the one trait that you probably have in common with other multimodal designers, let's say myself, we have to be flexible. We have to be. We have to be able to be like, sure, we'll pivot. Sure, we'll consider another platform. Sure, we'll do a modal. Sure, let's incorporate AI. Right? Yeah. Why? Because like with multimodal, you have to be cool with ambiguity. So I would say like, if you're flexible, it's not only going to help your UX design career, but it's going to help you scale up in a world of AI. Right?
Yeah.
Like now AI.
Exactly. What I'm thinking about too is just to your point, as a service designer, I'm not working at G anymore, but that was sort of my last role. And the idea there is to get people inspired, to want them to make the connections, to see the connections you see. So, they want to get there because often those connections don't exist. And so you can share that vision orally. You could share it in a talk. You could share it in a PowerPoint deck, but sometimes you have to go create a prototype because they don't get it. Sometimes you have to do something else because they're not going to get it. And so I think like going back to that idea of pivoting, and it's like, I know a lot of people that would say, well, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not a UX designer. I'm a service designer. Or I'm not a visual designer and I can't do that. It's like, okay, but you're not going to get your point across, and you're not going to do your job well, and you're not going to convince these people who are visual, communicators. You know what I mean? So like there's that, certainly that aspect that I think again ties back to this idea of improv, that like, the thing I thought of the thing that I thought of immediately when I think about, or the first thing I think about when I think about improv with UX design, it's those stakeholder meetings where you have no idea how this is going to go. It could go really well. One stakeholder could point out a thing and it just, everybody else in the room just laser focus on that one little thing. It's just all downhill from there. And to me, that's sort of one of those places where something like improv and that pivoting and the yes and especially when they have feedback and they have ideas and because the last thing, the no butters, you don't want to be the no but in a state. It's like, no, we're not doing that. No, we can't do that, and it's just sort of like, again, going back to like your point about improving your career, like you don't want to roll over, but at the same time, you don't want to see, you could disagree without being combative, I think is where I'm going with this, right? A roundabout way.
Well, and let's be honest, sometimes you have to say no in order for it to be a yes. Right. So how do you navigate that? But you kind of set up the stage beautifully, dude. The way you work is that you kind of help people make their own decisions and come to their own conclusions. That's the easiest path because then they feel empowered and they have agency. Right. Yes. That also means that you have to put a lot of work to set up that stage because to make it look easy is hard. Right. And I don't know if you know, but your screen went green right now. It just kind of went offline.
Yeah.
But I'll try to navigate. But to your point though, right? So let's talk about like facilitation, right? Because improv has helped so much with facilitation. It's helped me kind of come up with games, icebreakers. It's helped me kind of like gain the confidence to talk to people, ask them questions. The point about being able to speak different cognitive languages, like, oh, they're visual people, let me design a prototype. Or they're abstract thinkers, let me document conditionals. That's a really good point. Now, something that you have to kind of also be aware of, you have to be self-aware of yourself, right? And your limitations. For example, I suck at UI. That does not mean that I can't partner up with someone to make it happen, right? Like I can literally just be like, I'll create the wireframes, but hey, dude, can you make this look not like shit? Can you make this look nice?
Yeah, or we could co-design together or something, and as you go, we can do it together. Yeah.
Well, and let's talk about that, right? Who do I want to work with? Someone that works great with me, right? So the way I work, and honestly, this is my philosophy in life. I want to be invited to the party. I'm not required, right? A lot of people that I know have to be invited to the party because they don't want them there, right? Like, and example A, right? We have person A who is always nosy, wants to be invited to all the meetings, doesn't contribute anything. But because she has a certain title, she wants to meddle in there and be invited to all your meetings, right? Kind of annoying, right? I don't want to be person A. I want to be person Y, who is like, all right, I'll be around. This is what I bring to the table. If you want to invite me, great. If you don't, that's fine. Whatever you do will be better anyway, because you're this me, right? One is empowering. The other one is kind of like obtrusive, right? So I kind of see like the no-butters being like in the first category, right? People who kind of like feel that their authority is contingent on people like almost fearing them, right? Yes. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like they don't, they don't create this environment where it's fun.
Those are like the managers, not the leaders.
Oh my God. That's fucking brilliant.
Those are the managers, not the leaders.
Sorry for cursing. I hope you can edit that out. No, but but that's true. Let's talk about UX leadership and improv leadership. Oh, now I can see you, dude.
Yeah. Sorry, my camera's
I can see you again. There we are. Yeah, it was kind of weird not seeing your face, dude. Not
Sorry
gonna
about
lie.
that. I have this really... Bro. Yeah, we're improv. We're improvising.
Improv.
Here it is.
No, but I want to hear from you, dude, because like you brought up a good point about leaders versus managers. You know, like, do you think it's kind of like that innate improv type of philosophy of like going with the flow, but also like let's put it this way: there's two types of errors: errors of omission and errors that you because you did something, right? So it's either error of something that you didn't do or an error because of something you did do. How do you think improv plays into like that and UX leadership?
Oh wow, I have never thought about that. I don't know. I've never actually done improv, so I can only speak to what I know. But I think this is sort of one of those things where when you think about what I think about is just the yes and or the no butters, right? And so like what I think is like when something happens, there's an error, regardless of if it was something you did or something you didn't do, it's done. Right. And so now what? Now what do we do? All right. And that's the thing I think when I think about improv, it's like setting up these scenarios that you didn't expect and how do you react to them? You can like have a fit and you could cause a scene and you could get pissed off and upset and like yell and scream at people because somebody screwed up. Or you can say, all right, we'll figure out how to make this not happen again after we fix this thing. You know, once we get this worked out, then we'll go back and we'll say, what happened? How can we keep this from happening again next time? But I don't know. Like, again, I've never done improv, but that's kind of my thought is like, it's how you react in the situation that you didn't expect. And do you just say, well, we have to pivot. Here's what we know. Let's move forward. Or do you just get all upset and pissed because it wasn't the outcome you wanted?
That is such a great answer. I would have never come up on like by myself with like, that's a great answer because you're right. Like, but you know what?
I feel like we're in like a job interview. That's like a job interview answer right there.
Probably, right? But it's so good, dude. You're so good at this. No, so let's talk about why though, right? Why is that important? That does have to do with decorum and it could be and it could not be improv and right, whatever. My point is it could be improv or it could just be common courtesy, right? I would put that in that like Venn diagram of is it improv or is it common courtesy? It's right in the middle. Where like, I like leaders who are able to pivot and then make us feel comfortable with the pivot by not overreacting, right? The leaders that are like me, by the way, I'm very anxious. I'm nervous. I'm like coffee in human form. That's what I've been called, right? Probably not the most zen person, right? But like, if I don't overreact to something, right? Typically the team won't either, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They take cues from the leadership. Absolutely.
But I did not know that until you kind of mentioned it now. Because I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that time I freaked out and then everybody freaked out.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
I shouldn't freak out anymore.
So it's funny because like I a lot of this stuff that I think about with leadership and stuff, I don't think I really fully understood till I had kids.
Oh, shit.
And
okay, let's talk about that.
I don't want to equate leaders with parents and subordinates with children. But often there's a correlation, though, between like, they feed off the energy that you give.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good
like
point.
If you're pissed off and you're yelling and screaming, it's usually not going to make them stop screaming, right? Or if they're screaming and then you start screaming, like they're not going to stop screaming. But if they're upset and you come in with like a positive attitude, you're like, oh, we'll fix it, blah, blah, blah. It's just, not dismissing it or anything, not dismissing their concerns, because again, that's something a lot of leaders do, right? Oh, that's nothing, Joe. You're overreacting. No, not doing that. But like, well, what's wrong? Let's see. How can we fix it? Okay. We'll figure it out. Like, yeah, this is a learning moment, but blah blah. We'll move through it. And that generally will alleviate a lot of the stress if your kid's having a meltdown or something. But like, if you take a similar approach, you take that to work where let's say somebody screws up, they delete a file by mistake or accidentally do whatever, erase an artboard, whatever, and you can't get it back. That kind of stuff, like you could get upset, you could yell, you could scream, or you can be like, we'll figure it out, whatever, and then move on. And then you probably, as a leader, have more respect in the end. Yeah. And those people probably respect you and they probably would want to work for you, and you alleviate all kinds of problems like churn and morale and everything else because they enjoy working for you as a leader, So anyway, more stable team.
So
I don't know.
Okay, no. This is great. Like, let's talk about specifically the moment you had this eureka moment. Was it recent? Was it like 2 years ago? When did you discover the connection?
Oh, I think it was when my kids got old enough to just have meltdowns, unreasonable, completely irrational meltdowns.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And the thing is that it took me a while to figure this out too, because my dad growing up was a Marine. He was a sergeant in the Marines.
Oh, okay.
Not when I was a kid, but he was in Vietnam and stuff, and he was retired, or not retired, but he left the Marines. But he was, once a Marine, always a Marine. You're never not a Marine.
Exactly, yeah.
So anyway, imagine a sergeant for a dad, a Marine sergeant for a dad.
Oh,
I mean, it wasn't a pleasant environment if someone screwed up. It was a lot of yelling. It was a lot of screaming. It was a lot of belts to bare ass. It was a lot of stuff like that. So like when I had kids, I'm just like, oh, everybody screams and yells. That's what you're supposed to do. And it's like, my wife is like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you crazy? Like screaming at the kids like that? And I was like, isn't that what you're supposed to do? So
no one told me all that.
Yeah,
but that's so cool that you figured it out.
You didn't read that book? I'm like, no, I didn't read that. But anyway, but it took me a little while to probably longer than it should have. I'll be perfectly honest, to realize like yelling and screaming is just making it worse. Like, if they stop yelling, it's only because they're frightened and terrified of you and they don't come around.
Which is never good, by the way.
Which is like
not a bueno.
Maybe it stops the screaming in the moment, but like they're never going to talk to you again after they turn 18, which is not unlike my relationship with my dad. So,
well, let's talk about that too, because I have a partner who's a vet too. So it's a very niche group of people that can understand. And I will tell you, like, not having him, he's my partner, which is a different dynamic than if he were my dad, right? But I am finding out that he wasn't a lifelong vet. Like he went on a tour and then came back. He was in it, I think, for 4 years. So I imagine your dad was in it for more years. So the longer you are in
5
it, the
years
more.
For something, yeah.
Oh, okay. So and also like it changes. Like who I think my partner was also a sergeant, which is really interesting because like yes, there is a tendency to maybe overreact on certain emotions. But I know, and I'm so damn proud that he hasn't done that around the baby. Like, I have a 2-year-old son, right?
Yeah.
So back to your point, I just learned the lesson that you said took you forever to learn. Right now, I'm like, holy shit.
Okay.
Like, the face you saw, I was like, wait a minute, maybe I should. No, because like when he had his surgery, which by the way is why I canceled that one time, I thought he was going to be better by the time I was able to talk to him. Like, long story short, I think he had his surgery after we were supposed to talk. But he had to have all these like pre-tests before, like COVID test and all that. So the surgery itself went okay, but the afterward was hell for him. And I just could not handle it. My mental health was just bad, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that in improv and UX design, right? So I was in a really bad place, like mentally, because I was giving my son like medication every 3 hours. He hated it. He would cry, then I would cry, then we'd both cry, right? And then like dad had COVID, so he couldn't help. The babysitter obviously like couldn't come. So we basically had to isolate because of COVID. But also I was stuck caring for a kid and giving him pain meds every 3 hours because of the surgery he had. So it was really intense, right? But fortunately enough, I was able to take that time off from work randomly. Like it was one of those unplanned type of things, but because I had enough in my bank, it didn't matter and my bosses were cool. Right? So let's talk about leaders. Leaders don't micromanage you. They're like, you know what? You're sick. You got to take care of a kid. We're cool. Right? I will not take that for granted. Right?
Yeah.
But
dude.
I wouldn't have been able to function at work, dude. So how do you work with people who are in a bad place at work? right? And this is the interesting thing. Talk about leaders. So my boss, one of my many bosses, super cool dude. I was complaining about something at work, and he kind of flipped it on it. Like he flipped the thing on me, and he's like, well, have you thought about what they're going through? Right? Like, have you thought about like what potential things are maybe going on in work or life? I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty in the environment. There's layoffs. There's this. Could it be possible that like this has nothing to do with you? Right? Yeah. And I'm not being 100% accurate, like something to that effect.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And it clicked in me, like, oh shoot, like I'm being a jerk to someone who's already maybe kicked down by life. I don't know what they're doing. And that I kind of related that to my son being like in his healing stage and me being out of it and me being like super like sleep deprived, unable to function. I was like, if I was like that for a week, imagine if someone was dealing with a chronic illness or a disability or like situational stuff with parents or kids. And then all of a sudden I just like, you know what? I'm going to stop being an asshole. Like I just can't. I can't like, and then that's where improv kicked in, right? Where I'm like, okay, how can I yes-and them? Yeah. How can I be a better colleague and be more supportive and not like just shit on people? You know, because even me who went to improv, I'll still find myself being a jerk. I got to stop that, Jeremy. I got to stop being a jerk.
Well, here's my thoughts on this. I'm curious what your take is. And so one of the things I'm hearing here is like something really important is, and this is something UX designers talk about all the time, is empathy for users and blah, blah, blah. But empathy for your team is as important, if not more important. And I'll tell you why in a second. So like I imagine you mentioned this a minute ago, or when you first came on, about how you could only work with certain people on stage because you didn't like them or you didn't agree with them, whatever. And I imagine it's very similar, you know, to being in a corporate environment, an office environment, work environment where you don't like people. You're less likely to do the yes and. You're more likely to push back because they're an other or they're the enemy. And I think when you build empathy for your team and you build empathy for all those other people, you're more likely, one, to want to engage with them and do that yes and activity, right? To have that yes and philosophy. But beyond that, you might know well in advance what they might say before they say it. You might know how they're going to react before you do a thing. And so very similar, I would imagine, to being on stage with someone you've improv with for a long time. You can read their body language. You know what they're thinking. You know what they might say so that you can plan ahead for something you're going to say to the thing you think they're going to say. And so you have this sort of like symbiotic kind of thing going on. And it's very similar, I think, to like a work environment where when you build those relationships up with stakeholders or product managers or UX designers, whatever, you're doing that kind of like symbiotic kind of dance and you're building that relationship. So you know what they're going to say before they're going to say it. And you can't do that if you don't get to know the people first, right? And I feel like there's that connection, I think, between improv and like working as a UX designer or
I
anywhere.
love the way you tied it together, man. No, because this dance, the way you described it is so beautiful. I can just picture it. Actually, that's probably the biggest differentiator, right? Like if I have to think about what makes a good designer versus a not good, or a great versus good, right?
Yeah.
The great designer values relationships, all of them. Coworkers, and that includes your team, outside your team, product, dev, blah blah blah. You see yourself in the long haul, right? And I can tell you from experience, when I was a contractor, I didn't care, right? I was a contractor. I was in there for 6 months and I'm out, right? Now, fortunately enough, there were some people that were just so amazing that I wanted to stay in touch with. But like I was too dumb to realize relationships are everything when you start off, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you think about it, like I'm getting this job and I'm going to keep it for the rest of my life. How would that look like if I were to continue to have these interpersonal relationships with people, right? Like that's how I live my life every day. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to stay in this job for the rest of my life, I cannot burn bridges. I cannot like pull this shady power move stuff. I have to play legit and I have to be nice and I have to be kind and I have to be sincere. Right? Because if I start lying now, if I start being shady or doing this, I'm going to get caught and it's going to blow up in my face. Eventually. 10 years from now, people will be like, you talk shit and you did this. No. If I want true relationships, I have to give it my true all. Right? And like to a point where it's not overstepping boundaries. Like let's just assume everybody has healthy boundaries, right? But that's such a good point, dude, because like I value my product people and I know I kind of know how to read them, right? Like I know like, oh, I can't say this or else it's going to trigger them. So let me say it in a certain way.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And then my job is anybody new coming into the team from the design side, letting them know, hey, FYI, these are the triggers to avoid, or these are the hot spots to like avoid. This is, excuse me, their objective, or this is their this, or know this about them, or hey, FYI, they have a sick kid, so don't try to book meetings at this time. You know,
yes, exactly.
Just give them enough like ammo to have that best relationship, because you're right. Like I feel that relationships are key, and in fact, my job gets exponentially faster when I have stronger relationships, because I'm able to ping someone for an answer versus play the the bureaucratic game of like wait and see. I'll get back to you in 3 to 4 business days. It's like no. All my friends are like, here you go, Yaddy. Right? Yeah. Here, I'll do you a solid. Next time you owe me. I'm like, you got it. I owe you. But that's the game we play, right? The game we play is, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Let's be good co-workers and, get each other the info we need when we need it, because we know that we're not asking it willy-nilly, right? Absolutely. Like there's that trust, right? Yeah. You can't always build that with everybody, and that's fine. You just have to know where the line ends, right? Yeah. Like this is as much as I can trust you. Yeah. Anything more is putting myself in liability. Anything less won't give you like the credit you deserve.
So another thing that I was just sort of thinking about, I'm tying this to other conversations that I've had, cross-promoting episodes and stuff like that, because why not, right? But a couple weeks back, I had a really awesome conversation with Dr. Ari Zalmanow about research and how, there's often this sort of conflict between the UX teams and stakeholders.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And when you think about like conflict, it's like often like, a negotiation maybe is better. Like I'm trying to sell you my car, right? He uses this as an example. I want to sell it for $20,000. You want to pay $10,000 for it. So we're like competing against each other, right? I'm trying to get the most amount of money. You're trying to pay the least amount of money. Neither one of us are going to get what we want. We're sort of like going to meet in the middle. You're going to pay more than you wanted. I'm going to get less than I wanted.
Yeah.
But when we're all on the same team, stakeholders are not competing with us. We're all on the same team, and the goal is to build great software together. So like me winning over the stakeholder is not actually winning. Like if they win and they don't, and I lose, like we're still not winning. And I think tying this back to improv, like when you're on stage, especially when you're improvising with the troupe and a group of people, you can't like win improv, like you're all either going to look, you're all going to look awful together. You're all going to fail and be a total dud together, or you're going to get like a standing ovation at the end together. Right. I don't know. Anybody ever get a standing ovation during improv shows?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, do I recall one off the top of my head? No. I mean, there's a couple, right? Yeah. But this is the thing. You're absolutely right, dude. I mean, okay, so that's such an interesting point, because I really don't see anybody as outside my team. I just see them as I see them like extensions of the team. Like, right. This is my core team. These are like the actual designers in the NLU NE design team. Then we have the other experienced designers who are outside of us. Then we have the product people and the tech. But they're all our team because we're all one company, right?
Right.
It becomes weird when you have this agency, because we're all internal, by the way. Like we're all part of the same thing. But if you start hiring out agencies, that's where the team gets a little fractured, because the agency definitely has an incentive to make money off of you, whether it's predatory or not. I mean, a lot of times I feel they want to make money off of you because they never do, because there's a lot of hours that are spent trying to build that relationship that they can't charge for, or they overspent hours trying to do something because, scope was changed at the last minute and they have SLAs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my point being, you have a good point about like, if everyone's on the same team, it's not about like you beating them. Like I play the long game, dude. That's what I play. I'm like, you know what? I'll let you have this one product person, but in a year from now, we will do this. You might win this
battle, but I'll win the war.
In a fun way. That makes it easier.
Like a Nerf battle. But like,
I'll hit you with a Nerf on your head and your nose, like.
What's funny though, and this is interesting, because where I used to work at GE, we had orgs with business leaders, and they were like little fiefdoms, and you had budgets and priorities, and often you would get a scenario where they would be fighting with each other over a thing or a budget, or if I get that money, you don't get the money, or if I own that product, I get the money later and you won't, if you own the product, I won't get money, I won't get budget next year. So like it's like this competing with each other. And very often, like night and day, I mean, orgs would be completely night and day. You would have a team that worked really well together, amazing, they loved everybody else, and then on another team, they couldn't stand each other. They never talked. They never, went and got coffee together. They never hung out at all, ever, for lunch or anything like that, right? And, you often had these sort of scenarios, unfortunately, where it wasn't about the company. It was about the org. It was about the team. It was about, me versus them, us versus them. And, it's just like at the end of the day, though, it's just like, why are we fighting? Why are we competing? We're all here to make this company money so we get a bonus at the end of the year, Like,
do you think
it's just so funny?
Leader?
I don't understand it, but
I think it was all the leader that drives it down. Do you think it's a
absolutely.
cultural?
It's absolutely coming from the top. Yeah.
God, I love that you noticed that, because I noticed that too, and it's so counterproductive. I get it though, but that's what I mean about layoffs, because you have some people that should have never been hired. I'm being a jerk here, but I'm being honest. Like, I've worked with those assholes.
Sorry,
and
not
it's
sorry.
like, you're so rigid. Mm-hmm. Like, you should be something else. Don't be a designer. Just don't be a designer if you can't adapt, right? But then I've worked with the really smart people who got caught in those crosshairs, right? Because technically this team didn't have the budget, but everybody knows that's the team everybody wants to be on. But this other team has a really cutthroat leader that hijacked all the money, right? Like, it's a power grab. So that's why sometimes with layoffs, it's a free for all, where you're like, sometimes it's legit, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's a mixed bag, sometimes it's a power grab, sometimes it's, honestly, I think it's opportunistic, because I think what's happening, right, is that people now are all laying off people. So companies are using that as an excuse to get rid of certain line items in their P&L, right? Yeah. And they're like, you know what, this is our opportunity to get rid of whole departments that we never thought we needed. Or because there was a shift in tide. I've noticed that too. When a big leader leaves, all of a sudden all their initiatives don't matter anymore. So they start defunding them. They start like breaking them down. So I love the fact that you brought that up, because I think improv, even at that level, can help, right? Yeah. Because what I learned to be is opportunistic, honestly, with improv. It's like, okay, someone gives you a lemon. You could literally make a sour face, right? Mm-hmm. Or you could literally like create your own lemonade stand, expand, create like lemonade pops, diversify, create like lemonade ice cream. You can do whatever you want with whatever bad situation, but it's all about mentality, right? Yeah. So I will give props to some of my favorite leaders. Like my favorite leaders are not just the designers that can design and do my job better. That's a given. Like, in order for me to respect you, you have to be able to do what I do. Yeah. But then there's that extra layer of BS, right? It's that extra layer of having to deal with these politics and being able to secure budgets. Because to do that, that's a whole nother skill set, right? That's why I'm an IC. I'm like, I will be an IC, and I'm a great IC. In my manager material, if I have to be, but honestly, once you start getting into UX manager, maybe like UX director and above, not even manager.
All the budgets.
Because I can manage people. I've managed teams. I cannot for the life of me learn the politics. Or maybe I can, but I don't want to. But it's that ability to justify why your team needs X amount of money, to justify the head count, to justify this. Like, those are some of the best leaders I've had, where it's like, oh my God, you know how to talk like board member. Like, you know how to talk C-suite. You know how to talk like this talk where it's like, but this is the other thing. They also happen to be great negotiators, and this is what saves our ass, great relationship builders. Yes. Right? Like, that's what I've noticed, that like the people I respect, yes, they have all these key traits. But now that I'm talking to you, I'm like, maybe it's the relationship building part, because those are the same people that happen to have teammates that I feel are getting along. Yeah. Right? So I'm like, oh, what a coincidence. They can get the budgets they want. They can get the head counts they want. And they have a team that's not only like high producing, but they actually like each other and respect each other. Yeah. What are the odds? Yeah. Right? Like, absolutely. What are the odds?
Well, I think going back to like this idea of relationships and tying it back to improv, like these leaders that go and they talk to C-level executives, right? They have to know what's coming. They have to know before they go into those meetings what that person wants to hear. And you can't figure that out without relationships, without allies, without relationships with people they know that have worked with them in the past without relationships with their freaking executive assistant who knows what they want and what they don't and what they're gonna bite on and what they're not. And again, like tying that back to improv and like being on stage and stuff and like knowing what's coming and understanding those people so that when you get in those meetings and someone throws you a curveball, how do you react? What do you say? How do you like pivot on the fly, so that you can still get what you want instead of being like, well, shit, this whole conversation just went to hell. I'm done. I'm out. You know what I mean?
That's the secret formula, dude. You tell me, because I have no idea how they do it. But
I don't either. I've never been that high up.
No, but you pointed it out though. Like you at least know more than I do because you're right. Like I wouldn't have thought, oh yeah, the executive admin would know. And like you're talking about social engineering here, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. There's a whole other angle of relationships, right? That I didn't even think about.
It is a secret sauce. This is something I say. This is my. I need to get this put on a T-shirt or a mug or a sticker. You can't build great software.
With that.
I
can make you buttons.
Yeah? Ooh, I like buttons.
Oh, yeah, I have buttons. We'll talk.
You can't build great software without great relationships.
Oh, my God.
That is it. Right there. Mind blown.
All right, send me that, and I'll button it up.
I need that on a mug.
Dude, okay, look, I'll send you the specs, and then you send me the design, and then we'll work from there. But that's true, though, right? Like, if I think about, like, because I'm writing a book, I've just decided. It's one of those things that literally, like, I've decided I want to write a book, like, literally yesterday. Like yesterday morning or whatever.
What is it about?
Multimodal AI design, how to transition from a regular UX design career into multimodal AI. And what I've started to do is asking people like, okay, what are the gaps you perceive? Because there's really two types of gaps. There's the gaps of people that they know that they don't know, and they already know their gaps. They're like, I need this, this, right? And then you have the gaps that they don't know about because they don't know what they don't know. So then you ask the people that are already in the field, hey, dude, what advice would you give these assholes coming in into our field? And then let's put that in a book. Because, like, so far what I've been hearing from AI multimodal designers, it's this concept not just of relationships, right? Like, that's actually a huge one, right? But it comes down to, like, and actually rigidity, not being rigid. I kind of, like, thought about it as not having arrogance, like, to be humble enough to know that you don't know everything. Because I think that's what's going to make you a lot better designer. Because you're not going to be arguing with everybody. If you come in assuming you're the worst, not the worst designer, like the dumbest person in the room, then you're going to be wide open to any idea because you have none, right? Yeah. And that's why I want to encourage people to, if they're looking for a job, to try to get one into AI, like in AI one, and not AI, at least multimodal. And if you can, multimodal AI. Right? Like those are the three buckets I would say. Like try to get in there because you really like don't need aptitude as much as attitude. Because let's just say this. Because
nobody's really done it yet to have aptitude. Who's got the aptitude because they've never done it before? It's sort of like,
I mean, there's right? tons of people that do. But my point is some of them are arrogant.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Some of them are super arrogant. They're part coders, part designers. They're amazing. Like you still will hire them because you need them. But you also have to know where to place them, right? So that they don't affect the team dynamics. But my point being is there's very few of them, but there's a lot of people looking for a job right now, especially with UX design. And everyone's talking about how AI is going to take our jobs. And I'm like, no. Adjust. Be pliable. Be flexible. Right. Figure out not just a way to use Gen AI. How
really
you use it. You're awesome at that. Like already like using like ChatGPT.
So I use it. So, okay. So here's an example. The other day I was creating some proto-personas for some freelance work that I'm doing. And I fed all the information that I knew. And I was just like, make these into proto-personas, like based on the data that I'm giving you. And it spit out everything like all categorized and all this stuff. And I was like, that's freaking great. Like it's a proto-persona. It's not a persona. So like it's all based on assumptions, obviously. So it's not like research or anything, but it got me exactly what I needed so I could have a conversation with the stakeholders to align them. And it took me 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, imagine like how long would it taken me to like do it? But not only that, I was also able to like create, you know, these images or these avatars and the stuff. So I was able to actually like dress it up and add some like visual polish to it. You know, and Dolly created this stuff in like 30 minutes. Yeah. So I use it for stuff like that. I use it for like writing problem statements in the
nice.
right way. So it's like I'll feed it in a bunch of content or data points and say, what's the problem statement? Craft the problem statement. And then you never just copy and paste. You always tweak it. But I use it for writing bios for guests on the show.
Oh yeah.
Like, hey, here's a bunch of data points. Write a compelling paragraph about the guest. So
Dude,
that's
notes.
how I use kind of stuff.
I'm literally taking notes. No, the reason I'm taking notes, right? Because if I'm going to be serious about writing a book, which honestly, it's less about writing a book and more about filling a need, right? Like everyone keeps asking me, like, how do you become a multimodal AI designer? How do you become an AI designer? How do you do this? How do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. But what I am good at is consolidating data, right? So like if I don't know, I can ask my friends. Sure. And then I could get their thoughts, consolidate into some sort of format, whether it's a book or a show or podcast or whatever, and then put that out there, right? So right now, the first modality is a book because that opportunity kind of presented itself to me. And it's kind of like, you know what, might as well like get the ideas going. Second, it's not about me, right, and what I know. It's about me and who I know. Right. Yeah. So I've worked with other multimodal designers and I don't have all the answers. And I think maybe that's what I'm trying to get to, that like to be a true designer of anything, right? I'm just going to use that word, an anything designer, whether it's like AR, VR, AI, whatever, right? You have to be okay not being okay, right? Like, I don't know how to do this, but being okay with like, I'll find someone who can, or I'll learn the skill set that I need to do it. Right. Like I taught myself how to like code in Amazon Lex because there wasn't a legit prototype I could use, for voice back in the day in 2015. Right. So like it's that type of mentality of like, if I can't now, I will. Right. Or if I can't now, I'll find someone who can help me. And with Gen AI, like how you described your usage, like, and not just you, like when I think about use cases, everyone keeps bringing up things that help you do your job better. Not necessarily your job, right? Because everybody thinks, oh, hey, he's going to steal my job. I'm like, hey, he's not smart enough yet. I'm sorry to break it to people. It's just like, have you read some of the hallucinations? It's just crap. And then sometimes you read it and I'm like, this just makes no sense. It sounds like an academic wrote this. Like this is not a third grade reading level, which by the way, I always try to do like a fourth grade reading level.
Oh, really?
Like that's just, for my personal preference, I'm like, if I can make it easy enough for people to understand, then we're good.
You know what's funny? You mentioned that the other day. Oh, I can't remember. This is the way I used it. It wasn't for work. What the hell was it for? It was like I was trying to explain something to my kid because they asked a question. And it was like 2 words that sound the same. I cannot remember what this was. Oh, this is going to drive me crazy. Anyway, I just plugged in. I was like, explain it to like a kindergartner. And it like came back and I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I needed to say. I wish I could remember what that was. It was something. Anyway, my kid was impressed. Whatever.
You're going to think about it like after the podcast a week from now, right?
I know.
You'll be like, oh, that's what it was. But I like that saying, explain it like a kindergartner, because that's actually, I'm actually writing that down. Because that's probably one of the other things too. Like when you're working on multimodal and you're writing, you don't want to sound all verbose, right?
Yes,
you don't want to be all, you want to be able to make it like scannable, easy to read, easy to understand. You don't want to make people feel dumb. Like that's my whole job. If I could die, whatever, tomorrow, I would die knowing that I tried to make things simpler for people without making them feel like idiots. Because I feel like an idiot all the time, right? Like all the time, all the time, Jeremy, but I improvise it and I just suck it up. And I'm like, you know what? I may not know it now, but I'll figure it out. Right. You bring up so many good points about like, relationships and, even your Gen AI use, right? Like how do you use it to help you? Right. Why are people so scared of it? Why can't we improvise it and, use it, be opportunists, use it for our own good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things. Here's my take with AI and generative AI specifically. It's not very discoverable because it's just a blank text box, right? So there are people who are willing to go and just type a bunch of crap into it and see what comes out. And there are other people who are just terrified to start because they have no idea what to type to begin with. And unless you find something online like a guide, like a prompt guide or something, and you can kind of tweak it and use it, I think a lot of people look at that empty box and have no clue where to start, and so they just don't.
That's such a good point.
And then like you compare that to like another app where there are buttons and there's labels and there's like, you know, maybe an onboarding kind of like flow where you can see and it can tell you exactly what the tool can do. AI, generative AI at least, can do nearly anything you ask, which is cool, but also very overwhelming for the people who have nowhere to start. It's like
that
the paralysis of choice. I think.
The paralysis of choice. Dude, your cognitive biases and all, I mean, all your like catalog of, never mind. I'm just geeking out.
So I think that's why AI is so confusing for people. You know, it's very hard. Like I feel like if I were designing ChatGPT, and actually, I would just let me pull up real quick just to kind of see. I mean, we're going totally off topic of like this stuff right now, but they have now when you load a new ChatGPT, at least on 4. I don't know if like the non-paid, the free version does this, but there's like little prompts. It's like help me study, write a text message, plan an itinerary. Nice. So like it gives you some like ideas to spark for people who don't have a clue where to start. You know, so anyway, I don't know. I think that's like kind of my thing with chat. I think that's why people are so scared to try it, you know, because it's so hard to just start. It is confusing.
I mean, especially the way you list it out. I'm like, yeah, I agree. That's why, like, when I say AI, like people think Gen AI, but AI is more than that. AI is actually the back end, right?
Sure.
AI is what's powering the front end, and like. If we think multimodal, right? Like this is what I would do. If I was the product person on OpenAI or any type of like Claude or whatever, right? I'd create a multimodal interface. I would use basic UX principles to create some sort of onboarding. I would also use some sort of prompting. I would use like the multimodal glass. Like how certain chatbots have like buttons on the glass, basically, like different options. Like you can do this, 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 this. You know, give them a lot of head starts, but also like give them some sort of help and support, like really quickly, like not a hint text, but like have like maybe a help button where you click on it, it'll give you different examples and blah, blah, blah. So like have basically progressive disclosured help, right? And different multimodal ways. Like that's what I would do. I would add the ability, which they do now, to have voice command, right? So if you're on the road. They just added it, I feel. So that's multimodal. Right. Yeah. Being able to ask your, you know, chat GPT, hey, what's the traffic on, you know, North Avenue and Western, you know, in Chicago, you know, or not even have to say the city because they can intuit your location by your GPS coordinates. Right. So there's a lot of really smart like stuff that AI can do that, you know, and that's what I guess, you know what, if I'm going to be blunt, I think maybe that's what I should educate people on, that AI is much more than what we see today. The AI we see today is going to be the worst it's ever going to be. And that's not my quote. It's somebody's quote I stole. I can't take credit. I don't even remember who said that, but it's the best damn quote, right? Because it is. It's going to be the crappiest version of AI we've already seen, right? The good AI is soon to come. But what does that look like, right? Is it like a little voice activation like Alexa? Is it more than that? Is it on every device? Is it on some devices?
I'm not super concerned until the robots can start reproducing themselves and we give them guns. Then that's when I get worried.
Well, the reproducing would be scary because it's like, holy crap. Now, the reason I'm not scared is because there's so much compute needed for them to run, and there's so much electricity needed that unless they can be sentient, create themselves, fix themselves, and then create the infrastructure themselves to like power themselves. Yeah. Right?
Then there's no use for
Which,
humans.
believe me, they could use humanity to enslave us and do that for them. Which now that I think about it, maybe I shouldn't give ideas. You know, like, I'm like, oh, I'll shut up now. My point is,
this is going to go on the internet, and the robots will definitely read it.
It's going to be like disseminated. But the point is, I'm not as scared because having been in AI, I've seen the progression of it, and it's not as fast as people think. I mean, it seems fast because like OpenAI kind of like came out with ChatGPT and it exploded, right? But I mean, it's really been in the works
for years. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, they've been around forever, and then additionally, like AI has been in the works since like the 1950s, right? Like it all started with vectors and all that. So it's really interesting how like people are freaking out, and there's debates with, I don't know if you've kept up with that, the whole OpenAI drama with like,
I have not,
people that want to like accelerate and people that want to hold back. And I'm like, fine, like figure out your safeguards, buddies. You know, either way, I'm in the camp of I'm not too worried, just because like there's so many things that have to like already be in the infrastructure to make mass like computer takeover happen, that I'm like, we're not there yet. Right? Like we're still having brownouts in California. Like that's not like, and that's where Silicon Valley is. So I'm not worried.
Right.
I'm not worried. Talk to me in a year though. Like if it keeps going that fast, I may be worried, but improv, right? Like that's the thing. I'm improving where, however and whatever other people come out with AI, right, is only going to inspire how I build products, right? So it's to my benefit that the field itself keeps advancing, and it's to my benefit that we keep an eye on regulation, right? Because we have to see like how AI will be used. And in the, I don't know if you've been following the, EU AI regulation stuff. It's been hard for me to understand. So I've been using a lot of infographics that people share with me on LinkedIn.
Okay. Yeah.
And those infographics are great because I'm like, oh, I get it now. But yeah, no, it's some of the legislation and the way they're breaking it out makes a lot of sense to me, where I'm like, yeah, if it's for medical use, maybe it should be considered high risk and we should have certain caveats in there. And there's certain things like maybe we shouldn't do, like use AI for people detection in public, willy-nilly. Like that, I want my privacy, right? So it's certain cool things that I'm like, I can be on board with that, but that's the thing. Like that's in the, EU, that's not in the States. So improv.
States,
right? Like
we like freedom here. We like freedom, and you can't take it away. You can't take it away.
Improv. Yeah. Like improv gives you the freedom to do whatever the hell you want, as long as, honestly, it's very American if I think about it, because you can do whatever you want as long as you respect the other person and whatever they want, right? And it's only that weird Venn diagram, inverted diagram, I guess, where it's like if you do something the other person hates, you gotta like figure that out. But that's the thing. Like, you just have to figure out what not to go. Like, that's called boundaries, right? Like, just figure out the other person's boundaries and don't violate them, and everything's kosher,
I love it. Well, that is an excellent way to close off this episode. Words of wisdom. Everything's kosher. Respect the other person. I've never heard kosher before, by the way. Is that a...
I don't know.
Well, right, I know that, but like kosher, I've never heard.
I don't know. I just say that because I like kosher food.
Okay.
Dude, I'm not going to lie.
Love me some food. All right. So do you have, we went way over our time. Do you have to run? I have to run in about 15 minutes.
I can stay. I can stay.
I have a hard stop at 1 Eastern. So like 15 minutes from now. But I was going to see, do you want to do a quick improv class with me to teach me some improv on air while everyone listens?
Let's do it.
All right. Where do we start?
All right, let's do. Oh, you know what? Let's do a fun one. So let's do. Shoot, my phone's about to die. So we may have to make this quick. I have less than 5% battery.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's bad. All right, so let's do one-word stories. Basically, we all take a turn saying one word, and we tell a story together.
Okay.
So you can start. Just say one word.
Pick any word.
Any
hamburgers.
Word R.
The
bomb.
Dog. That was like an end. Period.
I'm just like, what's
so okay? Sorry. So I ended the sentence. I should have kept it going. That was like hamburgers are the bomb, dog. Like that was where I was going. But
okay, let's do it again. All right, I'll start. Once,
okay, go. Upon
a
minute. I don't know. That wouldn't make
she
sense. Was from
eating
too
much
hamburgers.
Dog. That call, it's called a callback.
Okay.
When you bring back a previous joke, there you go.
All right. Well, that was fun. So I'm now an improviser. Can I say I'm an improviser?
No, actually, you could have fooled me, dude. No, because you are very go with the flow. I've always, I mean, maybe next time we're offline, I want to know why. Like, how do you manage to be so go with the flow without taking a lick?
You know what? Honestly, I think it probably goes back to like playing music and stuff, and like playing like a lot of like jazz and funk as a kid, and like jamming and stuff, and just like kind of, it's because I mean, jazz is essentially improv in music form. So like, you're just kind of making up, you're going with the flow, you're trying stuff, I don't know. Maybe I've been playing music since I was like 8 or 9, and I think
all right.
Probably, I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea.
Did I show you this or no?
Well, look at that. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So you
Oh
hit
yeah, I
on
remember we
something.
talking about that. Yeah.
So I think you're onto something. I think maybe that's why. And plus, you grew up in New Orleans, right?
Yeah,
Like the
and that's like
capital.
just you gotta go. Yeah, you go with the flow, man. I mean, New
Dude,
Orleans
I think you
is
should be teaching improv at this point.
New Orleans is a place where if you don't go with the flow in a place like New Orleans, you don't belong. You don't belong
Yeah,
there. Get the hell out.
you know what? I have to go there. I haven't been. I have not been there.
Really? No way.
It sounds like
Oh,
my
yeah,
type
cool.
of town. Kind of like
You could take a
Austin.
train. They have a train that goes from Chicago all the way down to New
Are you
Orleans.
serious?
Amtrak. Yeah,
Oh,
Amtrak.
I love trains.
I think
Oh
it's
my
the
God,
city
I'm
of
gonna
New
check it out.
Orleans train. Yeah.
Nice. I'm gonna check it out.
It's not cheap though. It's like
Well,
ridiculously
I mean,
expensive.
nothing
but
is.
It is fun. It's cool.
Well, dude, no, I'll check it out. But thank you, dude. No, this has been very amazing. Thank you for my.
Yeah,
Actually,
awesome.
thank you so much for being such a cool dude. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
it's so
try. Well, I
hard.
appreciate that. Thank you. Likewise. Thanks for being a cool dudette.
Yay! Thank you, dude. No, I appreciate the patience, man. Like, talk about going with the flow.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, you know what? I mean, this stuff. It's that's the beauty of post production. Anything can happen. I can just fix it in post. Nobody will know.
They'll know. They're like, they don't know any better. Well, actually, it also relates to improv because that's what improv at work is. You can take it to the almost finish line, and then there's that post where you can clean it all up, right?
Yep.
So there's still that safety net. No, this is so enlightening. Thank you so much for making me a better designer, bro. Like,
What?
it's really
Get
cool.
out of here.
Yeah,
Well, I
really cool
appreciate that.
concepts I've learned. So thank you.
Well, hell yeah. I appreciate it. Well, likewise. So, Yaddy, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. All right. So Yaddy. Yaddy. All right. So, Yaddy, we got a few questions that we like to ask all of our guests to help our listeners get to know our guests a little bit better. Are you ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So, first up, what is your favorite non-design book?
Slaughterhouse-Five or Animal Farm.
Animal Farm. So some kind of dystopian future.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's gonna die. That kind of thing.
Definitely.
All right. So you're a big fan of like 1984, I assume, and all of those. Yeah.
Yep.
She's shaking her head out there. Yeah. There you go. All right. Let's see. What is your favorite non-design podcast?
God, confession. I think either the Lex Friedman or like the Joe Rogan podcast. And honestly, there's one called Brotherly Love. You know what? It's tied. Brotherly Love is the Lawrence Brothers podcast. So I don't know if you remember Joey Lawrence.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa. From Blossom. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Whoa.
So wait, what's his brother's name? Oh, his brother he was an actor too.
Lawrence. Yeah, he has
That's
two brothers.
His younger brother.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew,
okay.
and
they
then,
were also
Matthew.
And they were also actors. Okay, right.
Oh yeah, I know way too much about them.
Yeah.
I know way too much about them personally. Yeah, so I would
didn't
say
even know they
those.
had a podcast. Okay. All right, Joey, what's your favorite episode? What did we talk about in the Lawrence Brothers podcast?
Oh my God, Hollywood gossip. That's why I'm like, ooh, let me know.
Oh, really?
More.
Oh, well,
they talk about the biz. No, they seem like really cool, collected dudes in a crazy environment, right? Like you hear some of their stories.
Are they still in the business? Like they're still acting and stuff? Because I haven't seen Joey Lawrence since Blossom.
Well, they've gone
in the 90s.
They've gone into the production route.
Okay,
yeah, they're
so
more behind the scenes.
Okay.
And they talk about that too, how like sometimes it's an actor's natural migration to go like to producer or whatever from acting, right? So it's kind of cool because I feel that's the same way UX is. Sometimes you start off in one field and then you end up in another one, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's similar to, I guess, like kind of how we talk about the sort of technical skills and then moving over to like the strategic side of it, you know? So anyway, all right. That makes a lot of sense. I don't think I would ever thought about that. All right. What is your favorite meal? And this could be something you've cooked, your grandma used to cook, could be something you had at a restaurant, anything you've put in your mouth. That's food.
Man, my favorite meal. Yeah, it's my grandma's chilaquiles. Like the way she would make like,
I love chilaquiles.
Yeah, you know what those are. I'm like, not everybody does. I can't eat them because I can't eat too many carbs. Like I'm, what do they call it? Sugar intolerant, whatever. So basically I can't eat it anymore, but that's my favorite. And then she died. So I can't have it from grandma, you know? So it's like, I can just have it from a restaurant.
You'll never have another chilaquiles again. There was a restaurant by our house back in New Orleans and I don't see chilaquiles on many menus. Usually it's on the breakfast menu though. Is it always with eggs and stuff?
Not
Is it always with
always,
the egg on
yes,
top?
I mean, that's like a favorite, dude. But yeah, exactly. I love it for breakfast. I love it for dinner. But if you have it for dinner, you don't have the eggs. You know what I'm saying? That's like,
right.
you mix and match.
So anybody who isn't aware, chilaquiles are really good. It's authentic. It's something you probably wouldn't find at most Mexican restaurants, but it's,
I'm like,
tortilla chips with red sauce and like an enchilada sauce. I don't know,
Yeah. Sometimes they do green sauces. So that's why you have to clarify when you go to, when you go to a restaurant, you have to be like, salsa roja, and make sure to say that in Spanish, like red sauce.
Yeah.
Maybe not be brutal about it.
Yeah.
I'm a little tyrant-y, yes. I love chilaquiles. That's my favorite.
This is sort of related. Well, let's say 4 or 5 levels related or tangents off. But I used to go to this Thai place all the time, and I would always ask them to get a Thai hot. And I'm telling you, every time it would come out mild. And I would be like, dude, I literally said Thai hot. And like one time I had, that's a good one guy. I had a waiter one time, and he's like, yeah, when it's white people that order Thai hot, they usually just ignore it. And I was like, what the fuck kind of racist bullshit is that? Like, come on, dude.
Like you told my mouth how I asked you to.
It's like I would have expected the opposite. Like, this white boy wants Thai hot. I'm gonna give him Thai hot, But they just went straight. I think they probably used to do the hot, and then people would complain and send it back. So they probably were just like, we don't want to deal with it. We can always add more
money.
Spice. We can't take we can't take spice out. This little white boy's gonna add Thai hot, and he's gonna complain and want his money back.
Yeah.
Anyway, then they would bring out the little tray.
You can handle it. So how did you know you could handle Thai hot? That's the bigger question.
Well, I grew up in New Orleans, so we always ate spicy food, and I would just, add extra spice. And it's like I would try it out, 1, 2, 3, or 5 to 10, whatever the rating, because every place has different ratings. And I would just sort of go up. But I would like to do Thai hot to test it out to see how hot it really was.
I hear you, dude.
Some places Thai hot was not hot, and some places Thai hot was impossible to eat. So I don't. I just like to do that.
All places I've gone to, when I say Indian hot, I regret it. I'm like, no, every single place.
Oh my God, there's an Indian place around our house that when you do just a regular red curry, and they'll ask how hot, and you say I want it mild, it still is so hot. I'm like, I can barely. I'm like, this is hot. This is not mild, dude. Yeah, I mean,
you're give me the mild version, and the mild's still burning your face.
Can we the white boy mild? Can I have the white boy mild, please? The Midwest mild.
I'll take with spice at all. Just take it out, and it's still spicy.
Give me that Midwest mild. That's what I want. All right. What's the next question? What is your favorite vacation spot?
I don't know, man. Since I had a kid, I would say my bedroom. Just chilling out.
Staycation. Whenever my kid's asleep.
Basically staycation. Sadly, yes. No, I love my child. He's great. But no, okay, so let's say before child, I would say Mexico. I love my family. I miss my family. I miss my family in Texas. So, Mexico, I would say Mexico City, around that area.
Mexico City.
I would also say Tamaulipas, which is a beach area, but also very dangerous. So I don't know.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? Narcos are huge there. So try to stay away.
Mexico City's not by the beach, though, is it? I thought Mexico City was
That's why I would say Mexico City and
or the beach. Okay.
Tamaulipas, which is the coast and stuff. But that's where all the drug dealers fight for land. So that's why I'm like, I don't want to die, but I do like the ocean or the beach. I'm like,
pros and cons. Pros and cons.
Pros and cons.
Yeah, I'm a beach guy. I like beaches myself. All right. What is your favorite design tool that is not Figma?
Miro. I like the Miro boards.
I love it. I get a lot of people that say that, actually. A lot of guests answer Miro.
I mean, you know what? Okay, so I'm going to do something different. I'm going to say paper and pen.
Everybody says paper and pen. Second most common answer.
All right, fine. I will be like everybody else. Paper and pen or Miro.
Or Miro. I love it. Yep. No, it's actually really cool because Miro's got some really neat prototyping
does it?
Components and stuff. So you can drag and drop form fields and put together a really rough interface for a workshop or something to test a design sprint. You know what I mean? So it's really cool, just drag and drop stuff. It's actually pretty cool as far as prototypes go? I mean, if you're into that kind of thing.
I love it for whiteboarding. Like, it's just easy to get everybody, like, because we're distributed. So, like, nobody's in the same room, Yep. So, I mean, because I would say an actual whiteboard is one of my favorite tools. Yeah. An actual whiteboard.
Yeah, I love those too. That's like one thing I do miss, I think, about not being in office is not having a whiteboard. Like, if I could install a whiteboard at my house, I would be really excited.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. I bought one of these, dude. So they're like whiteboard, like papers.
Paper.
I don't know how to explain. It's like a poster.
It's like a sticky.
You know what?
Like you stick it on the wall like a wallpaper almost. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, and you could just like. So I've been meaning to put this up because I just like to like whiteboard everything.
Hell yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, Yaddy. Well, it was great talking to you today. Before we get out of here, one more time, tell everybody where they can find you, to follow you on LinkedIn, all that stuff.
Oh, usually on LinkedIn, I am linkedin.com/in/Yaddy, YADDY. My website is down because I forgot to pay it.
Oh, no.
And it won't take my Apple Pay. So I have to like log into the website. Yeah, it's been like, that's the only reason. It's not that I don't have the money. It's that I literally cannot process the payment.
So now when you go to Yaddy.com, it just says, this user has not paid their bill. They're a giant bum. That's what it says.
I told him to take that sign down. That's not professional. Horrible error handling. That's just not cool.
Oh, man. I think they do that on purpose. That's a feature, not a bug.
To shame you into like submission. So accurate, dude. But yeah, they can find me there. They can find me there. We also have a Slack group. So if they want the Slack invite, it's on my LinkedIn, but I also can email it to people. Yeah, we have a Slack chat where we just talk multimodal AI. And it's growing. And it's we're starting to find our groove. I think I don't know how to moderate. I just don't know anything. So I need whatever help I can get. So there you go.
So if you're listening and you can moderate Slack channels, give your girl Yaddy a holler.
Thank you.
All right, Yaddy. Well, that was awesome. I'm really excited to have you on today. Thanks so much for coming on. This was a blast.
Yeah, ditto. All right. I'll see you later. Have a good one.